morning, everyone, or afternoon, whenever you're listening to this. Welcome to the Conscious Journey podcast. I have my friend back. My friend Kurt. He's with Vita Santa. You've seen him before. We have amazing chats, and it's always nice to come and connect. And we actually met for coffee 2 weeks ago, and our conversation just flowed, which sparked us to be like, we need to record again. So here we are. We're recording. We're keeping this super casual. We want to focus on the flow of the conversation, not so much trying to force whatever the content is. So we don't know what's coming up, but we know it's going to flow because every time we talk, we have a really good flow.
Yeah.
And I think what sparked this was our conversation about the state of the world that we're in right now. How people are changing themselves even without knowing it. Some people are seeing things differently. There's a lot of questions, there's a lot of uncertainty, and there's a lot of I don't know what the next steps are. And that's normal.
Yes.
It's completely normal. And I think not having conversations about it keeps it feeling like everyone's alone on their journey, but we're all in the same boat, and we're all going through different things in our lives that are being viewed differently, being interpreted differently, internalized, whatever the thing is. But the bottom line is we're all going through something, and how are we going to navigate it? What are we seeing? All this jazz, so to speak.
Yes.
So what's your perspective on what's happening out there right now? Why are we being so influenced? What's the rift?
Well, I think a lot of us want, and thank you for having me back, Kristy. It's great to be with you again. I think for anyone who is curious, wants to expand their mind, wants to learn, actually cares about where we are, and we all have this kind of compassion and empathy towards other people, and that's kind of growing within us. And then there's this confusion about, well, how can I do that when this is going on? And
we're supposed to have everything figured out.
Yeah, and then of course that gets really difficult. Like, if you've convinced yourself that this isn't a safe place, this isn't a loving place, this is a terrible place that's getting worse every day, you might be, calming yourself down so much and putting yourself kind of on lockdown, because you're like, okay, there's this thing I want to do, but I'm going to play safe. I'm going to stay in my familiar place. I don't know what's going on out there, so I'm going to shelf my creativity.
Yeah, stay in your comfort zone.
Because if I go all in, then I'm vulnerable. I've put myself in a place that I don't believe is safe. And inevitably, I have this fear of failure, right? So we're already like defeated before we actually continue. But if you just stay with your creativity, and you decide, is this something that you really want to put out there? If this is something really you want to do? But that's your decision, right? It'll always be received well. There'll always be people you resonate with and some people you don't. It's always going to be the case. It's kind of like we go to a theater, and if you're not an avid theater goer and you go to this movie that was recommended, and the producer decides to really shock you and scare you and piss you off, and you're like feeling terrible after the movie, and you're like, I just lost 2 hours of my life because I'm so upset that I saw this movie. It's made me feel awkward and terrible and fearful. And then they're like, there's a sequel coming. You're like, I would never go to that sequel. So it's kind of like that. It's kind of like, if you view the world as decaying and getting worse every day and terrible, terrible, we're not enthusiastic. We're like, I really don't want to see that sequel. So like, you're not even putting yourself out there to expand. But if you're viewing the world as a beautiful place, a loving place, a place that's getting better, and it might be difficult to see that right now with all the things going on, but if you can manage to get yourself in that place, then you don't stifle your creativity. You're
100%.
feeling comfortable with being expressive, whatever way that looks, because you're not so concerned about other people's opinions and being judged. And that stuff kind of fades away. It's not that it goes away, it fades away. So
it's also about what you're allowing to surround yourself with, because I've noticed recently a lot of people I talk to in the state of the world that it's in, they feel, especially I'm going to say for Canada, because that's where we're living, they are feeling that it's not what it used to be. And so they keep asking me, Kristy, how are you so positive? What are you doing? Like, I'm like, why bother? Why the fuck should I care? Why should I go to work? Because I can't afford shit. Why should I try something new? Because I'm just gonna fail at it anyways, and everything sucks. Like, there's a low vibration that people are allowing to anchor into their lives, and they're not realizing that it can be completely transformed. I'm very selective on what I allow in my life, who I allow in my life, and how close they get to me in my life. Like, I use a little tier system, right? Like, if someone walks up to me and they're very gossipy and they're bitchy and they're like, oh, I hate this and blah, 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 F that, and super negative, cool. I will say hi to you. I'll let you work at the desk next to me, but I am not going to coffee with you. I'm not even going to have you in my car or my house. Like, I will refuse. I have a wall against that negativity. Same thing goes for the stuff that you're feeding yourself. Social media and our algorithms and TV, there's a lot of stuff out there that is designed to keep people afraid, because as soon as you realize there's nothing to be afraid of, and you start going down a road of your own personal path and how amazing it can be, everything changes. But if you stay afraid and you're still at home and you're bitching and complaining and you're hating your life, you are so easy to control and so easy to keep in that little dark hole that of course they're going to keep it rolling. So when you're doom scrolling, don't watch the videos and click on them and be like, this is what's happening and we're going to be forced to do this. And you're feeding yourself into that negativity. So why bother? There's a huge reason why you should bother.
Yes. And interesting you said that, before we jumped on here, we started talking about a few things, and it's important to understand that, when we're changing, when change is happening all around us, this is really something we've all wanted.
Yeah.
We've wanted things to shift. But we're like, but I still want
We collectively called this in.
Yeah, and then they're like, I still want my comfortable dinner at 6 o'clock. What's stopping you from having your comfortable dinner at 6 o'clock? Nothing. So again, we're viewing things and saying, I don't like where the direction is. It's like what you talked about when we first started talking today. You acknowledged a part of yourself that you haven't really let yourself hang out with. And then I responded to you. I said, well, that means because you're changing. And and it really helped you understand, because there's a great author that helped me understand a lot of things called Neville Goddard, and he called it the bridge of incidents. When you desire a different state in your life, that's when it begins. Right there.
Exactly.
But yet we don't see those little bridges of incidences that begin to unfold in our life, and we're like, nope, that's not it, I don't want to go there. And then we kind of we remain in that, and then we don't catch ourselves when we're saying, this always happens to me. But you got to be careful with that. You got to say, it's coming in now and it's here, and I'm going to use that as evidence to keep going.
Exactly. But you know what also is a huge factor in that? You, me, and a lot of people we know who are on this path, we've surrounded ourselves with people who are asking the good questions. They're also able to validate things that we're going through. It's more of a positive, enlightening environment than if Kurt, if I shared that story with you and you were like, oh, well, I don't know, you said something super negative, I would have been like, okay, well, we're not going to hang out because that was a shitty response and that brought me down. But the friends that I keep in my life are people that I admire, I look up to, I enjoy being around. it's not people that I have to fight to be around. If I have to fight to be around someone, it's not worth it. And I think that was one of the biggest lessons when we started hanging out, is like go with the flow, like the down the stream in the canoe kind
Yes.
of analogy.
Yep.
That really hit home with me tremendously. And ever since I started embracing that and stopped fighting for what I thought I wanted, and I started going with the flow of what source, universe, life, whatever is bringing me down into my path, so many things started falling into place. Does that mean my life was 100% perfect and I never go through any trials and tribulations? No, because these trials and tribulations are things that are teaching us stuff about ourselves and the
Yeah.
internal awareness that we're coming to. We'd be like, oh, that's pretty fucking cool. I didn't know about this about myself a week ago, and now I know this, and this is how I
Yes.
can move forward and improve my life and do something different and have that pivot. So,
Yeah.
anyone who thinks that, they can get out of this experience without any experiences and just skate by, I mean, you probably can. I know people who are completely happy with
Yeah.
the contentness that they're in, but that's their journey. I have zero judgment or anything towards them. I'm like, cool, good for you. But it's not the path that I felt called for. I've always had this difference within me, and the older I get and the more that I'm understanding what's happening, because I have amazing people in my life that are asking really good questions, are like just what we're doing now. I'm sure someone listening to this is going to have an aha moment, and
Yep.
it's going to plant something in them, and they're going to be like, oh, this is extremely interesting. And the way that we can accelerate that is auditing the people, places, things in our lives that are either adding to us or subtracting.
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave it at this very simple
Yep.
adding and
Yeah. It's,
subtracting rule.
yeah. I, uh, as you know, I've shared my journey on your podcast before, so we don't need to get into that.
Yeah.
And I continue to do it, and I'm full time now, which is just this magical thing in my life. And
Mm-hmm.
the more you do something, the more you learn. It's the way we are as humans, right? And
Exactly.
it's like this, like working with clients now, and when I work with clients, we focus on what we are as human, and we have emotions, and I wanted to learn, why is this mechanism, emotion, a part of our fabric? It's like having a hand, it's a part of us. So I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
learn a lot about it, and I've done well over 400 sessions now, and which is a wonderful thing. And I'm a really, always have been a really good study of where I'm at in the now. So each time I
Mm-hmm.
work with a client, that is now to me, and then I learn something from that. And if we wanted to talk simply about motivation, a lot of people say they lack motivation. Although, if you're anybody who's ever owned a vehicle and you got a flat tire on the side of the road, you're highly motivated to get back on the road. Although it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of an interesting thing. We have to ask ourselves, so if I lack motivation and I'm on the side of the road and I'm highly motivated to get back to a life I'm not motivated to live, wait a second. So it's not that we lack motivation. It just might be you're not really enthusiastic about the life you're living,
Yeah.
because
There's no alignment.
you kind of have said, well, there's no other options for me though. But that's not
Mm-hmm.
the truth though. It's you're not willing to bring yourself out of your comfort zone or your familiarity to birth something different in your life. It was not easy getting into energy healing and putting myself out there, only to probably talk to 9 out of 10 people that always said, well, that's ridiculous, why don't you just stick with construction? Don't you know construction's booming now? Since you're so good at it, you're amazing, why would you ever change that? I don't know, you might not want to do that. And then you kind of have these googly eyes look at you, with people who really respect you, but you can see it in their
Yeah.
eyes that they're like, okay, like, it's strange, why aren't you doing construction? And it's like,
Well, that's their projections, right? Their own projections and insecurities are
well,
coming up to, they're being projected onto us.
they probably don't realize that there's something inside of them that's kind of, kind of admirable. They're like, oh my, I'm not sure.
Yep.
So again, stepping into something that isn't accepted in society, this is not for the faint
Currently.
of heart. Yes, currently,
Exactly.
and it is getting better. I've noticed that.
It really is.
So
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is like, I thought, okay, I'm just gonna switch careers. Well, that takes something inside. It takes this conviction of stickability when you're in the gray weeds, and gray weeds are when you don't have any clients, you don't have any money, and you're questioning everything you've decided on, and you're thinking you're a failure, and you're like, that other life that I had is just right there. I could just tap into that. Maybe I should just do that,
Yeah.
and that's the moment that you hold on. And interesting enough, anytime I've had those moments, I wouldn't say it's down, up, left, or right. I don't care about the down or up. Anytime I've had moments like that, I've managed to just sit with myself instead of get panicky and feel it become stronger. And it's almost like you can just feel this heaviness and this heat coming up in you, welling up in you, and it's like becoming so powerful. And then I think to myself, there was a time when I felt like that, where I would just scurry, put my tail between my legs, and run right to the life that I'm comfortable with. And then instead I just sat and I said, show me what my life looks like with all these things in my life working properly. And I just would sit with it. And until I could see it, I would just stay. And interestingly enough, later on during those days, my calendar would just go boop, 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 boop. I would have clients. So, it's like it's really our decision where we want the direction of our life to go. There is really no wrong decisions.
Yeah, that was a big pill for me to swallow.
Yeah, so here's what I think we're all confused about. We talk a lot. So I have this phrase that came up during a session with a client. She had gone through some terrible things, and she was having a hard time coming to terms with where she is because of her past. And this phrase came to me. It seemed like out of nowhere, and it literally, like, I felt like I wasn't even speaking the words. And I said to her, what's behind you doesn't define you. And I had to write it down because I was like, I think you just helped me create my quote.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. And since then I've really utilized that, and I've leaned on it. Now, Kristy, all the good things that have ever happened to you in your life that are behind you do not define all the good that is coming to you. But yet we somehow make what is past more delicious than our now. And that's not good, because then we're really like, all right, that time was the best time I've ever had in my life, and it can't get any better. And now, if we're going to stick to the positive spectrum, that's a great thing too. But it's important to understand that if there's something that happened to you in the past that was unfortunate and terrible, it still doesn't define you.
I always wondered, why would people want to anchor in the past is the only time that was really good for them? Like, man, when I did XYZ, that was the best time of my life. I wish I could get that back. I'm never going to have that again. Like, you're reinforcing I'm never going to have this again. You could completely have an amazing time, moment, experience coming up. It's a choice to allow yourself the freedom for that to come to fruition. If you're
you're someone who's well-traveled, right? Like, the first time you go to a destination,
it's always freaky.
Yeah. And then if you're back here at home, and you're like, I booked another vacation there to that same place, I know it's going to be the same. It's not going to be the exact same. So
no, it's not.
It's like you have an opportunity. And then if you go there, heaven forbid if it's not as fun, now you're in a really weird place, because you've actually just trained yourself to believe that what's behind you defines you. And it's like, you got to be careful. And so you brushed on uncertainty. Uncertainty isn't for the faint of heart. We all want something secure. again, I can't convince somebody. Like, I've been asked, how did you have the courage to do it? What do I do? Because I want to do something different in my life. But at Kurt, I have this to pay for, and I have my family to think about. And again, I'm not here to look you in the face and say, you have to do it or you can't be happy. I don't think peace and happiness are coincided, because it makes it conditional. Like, happiness is just a choice. It's when you make it conditional, then that means you have to have all these things in place.
Conditions to make you happy.
Yeah. So again, it's not like peace and like they don't belong together. It's like, so go ahead. Yeah.
I would say anyone who is thinking about they want to make a change in their life and they're worried about, I have bills, I have this, blah, blah, blah. We all get it. We're all in the same boat. And the people who have made that leap, it's a leap of faith. And
Yes.
it's usually a leap of faith under a well thought out plan, more often than not. Like, you're attracted to something, it resonates, you're good at it, whatever it is. But one thing that isn't really taught is there's nothing wrong with doing it part-time to start. You can start part-time, keep your job. Exactly. We all started that way. And anyone who's able to jump into it full-time, we see that shit on social media often, but you don't see the build-up behind the scenes. Sometimes it takes people 5 or 6 or 10 years to get to a point where they're like, okay, now I can do this full-time. And everyone thinks they have to be 100% ready and 100% with their banks full and 100% gung-ho and ready to have this moving. No, the beauty of this is built in the part-time. All you need is an hour outside of work. If you don't have an hour after work, wake up 1 hour earlier.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. You made me think of a couple of different things, but the one that stood out more was Wayne Dwyer, and he's not with us anymore, but he accomplished a lot of things in the spiritual community and being a speaker. And even before that, he was amazing at helping students understand things with their memory. And it was really fascinating, a lot of the things that he did. But then he got this accolade, and he was voted top 3 spiritual influence in the world. And he said he always remembers telling it to his wife and her looking at him, rolling her eyes, because she gets to see all parts of him, right? And we only get to see the polished version that's on stage, right? So it's realizing that, you see someone with accolades, you have accolades, you're just not letting yourself see them. And you also have this life, this dualistic, contrasting life, where from his wife's perspective, she's tired of hearing the same old things, right? And she just rolls her eyes at him. But it keeps him humble, and he loved it, because he was like, in one sense, I have a crowd of people, applauding me for my accomplishments. And then she's just like, oh my God, just go get me some milk, and it's like, so again, she gets to see all aspects. And all I'm saying is we get to see all aspects of ourselves. And we're like, you got to be careful with this, like, too good idea. Like, you're trying to be too good. You're probably going to just find yourself in a spiral of judgment when you're trying to be too good.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So you got to embrace every aspect of yourself and let it shine, let it flourish. Smile at all the parts of yourself that you think are bad, and just realize that it takes all of you to be whole. And I don't like the idea of, like, this shadow work stuff that people talk about. It's just words. And it's like, oh, I've done a lot of shadow work. I shit on parts of myself, and I tell myself, why? Why don't you just smile at that part of yourself? Maybe that part of yourself would like you to view it with a smile.
The part of the shadow work is, we're not supposed to identify things that are wrong with us and hold on to how wrong they are. We're supposed to shine a light on them and be like, oh, that's a piece of me.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And acknowledging when it comes up. Be like, oh, okay, I've been triggered by this person. Why? Why was I
Yes.
triggered? Blah, blah, blah. And you're working on those elements. You're not supposed to run away and detach and hold on to those elements as if it's bad, and you're not supposed to have shame about it. Oh, well, this happened and I'm so shameful and this hurts and blah, blah. No, you're not supposed to do that. And what I wanted to say was, in this journey of life and whatever you're doing, whether you want to make a transition, one, it starts with your mindset. If that's the only thing you take away from this podcast, is it's the mindset and what you're feeding yourself. But in anything you're going to take on, whether it's a life partner, a business, a career, whatever it is, if you wait, this is actually one of the best analogies I've ever had in my entire life that has really resonated with me, is if you wait in your laneway for all the streetlights to turn green before you leave to get to your final destination, you're never going anywhere.
Yeah.
You have to trust that those lights are going to turn green at some point and you can keep on your journey.
Yeah.
There's no way for anyone to get anywhere, whether it's a successful relationship, business, career, whatever you're working on. There's no way for you to start and finish and see the entire end game up front. It's impossible. So trust your instincts, trust the flow, trust what's happening. And you know what? Go for it. Just stop waiting for everything to be the perfect conditions. There's no such thing as perfect conditions. And I absolutely hate that society has taught us everything has to be perfect before we take a leap. It won't. You can't. So much is developed in that leap of faith and the step in front of each foot every time you go by. And it's entirely possible you're in this step and you look back and you're like, wow, I've come a long way. I'm going to try something different.
Yeah.
And also don't judge that as well.
Yeah. I love that too, because what it equates to is what we were talking about earlier. What's behind us doesn't define us. Now, I did change me or you with us. What's behind all of us doesn't define us, but yet today we're really fixated on what actually went down in history. Ancient history, galactic, or whatever you want to call it. Like, we're still talking about some other time and place to declare who we are today.
Exactly.
This is the part that I'm not too excited about, that everyone's so fixated on getting the past right.
Yeah. Why are we trying to fix the past? Let's focus on the present and the future. Like,
yeah. So the person who was so great in the past, this being, whatever anybody wants to call it, whatever your doctrine or religion equates to, whoever is saying is the great person from the past, that doesn't even define us. So we're still clinging to how was it decided in the past. Okay, so now we can actually operate as humans because we finally all agreed on, who cares? It's like, I like it because we are in the information age. Everyone would like to know. We've all been kind of slew-footed, and we all kind of just want someone to have one sentence that describes the way the world was. But I like to say this all the time. Great. So now that we know that, I'm going to go have a burger. Like, really, it doesn't just go pop, and then the world goes poof. And then the world, based on the way everybody agreed on it, this is where we should be at today. No, this is where we're at today. So it really doesn't matter who created the world, what created the world, why we were created, what's going on, based on something that we're assuming happened. Who cares? It's like you could give me the exact truth, but like Kristy said, I still drive out to that corner and there's a red light, green light, yellow light. So that hasn't changed. So I could be convinced of something that happened in the past, and it would upset me and enrage me because I have been lied to. But how's that going to make me any better about going into traffic? I'm now going to be pissed off because some other ancient time wasn't put properly in the history books, and that doesn't change how I drive. Like, it doesn't change how I walk today. So really there's so much focus on the past and everyone wanting to be right about how it was written and what wasn't written, what should have been written to dictate how I walk today, but that's not true.
Yeah.
So it's all philosophy. And I read something a long time ago that really hit home with me. We can philosophize all we want. But you may want to focus on what's really important in your life right now and then philosophize later.
Yeah.
You know, and there's nothing wrong with philosophy. It's just, it's not really valuing your life right now. If finances are your number one priority right now, focus on making wealth your priority. And you can philosophize 10 years from now. If your number one priority is to find love, stick to that. Don't go, this is why I can't have love. Stick to love. Stick to making that your number one priority. And it's not going to be long till you have it. Because,
Yeah.
you know, it's like what occupies your mind the most every day. I've noticed this. This is something that's a really big caveat. If you say meditation is going to put you in a meta mindset and you meditate for a half an hour and then you journal and then you say some affirmations in the mirror and you listen to your favorite song, we're maybe at an hour and 20 minutes. But the rest of your day you complain and bitch and say, this is what's wrong, this is why I can't do this. Well, it cancels all that out. It's so now what's occupying your mind? What are your dominant thoughts all day? Now, am I telling you this is easy?
No.
To be vigilant? No, I'm not telling anybody that. This is probably why no one does it. It's because they find it really difficult. It does take effort because again, we're dealing with the unseen, right?
Yeah. We need to audit ourselves 100%. The auditing comes from acknowledging what's actually happening. What am I thinking right now? Like, I remember at the start of my journey, and I actually thank God, source, whatever. When I was 25 and I started my home staging company, I had to learn how to position negatives into a positive. And
Can I ask you one thing? Can you, for the viewers right now, the lingo you're using is really for high achievers? Because not everybody understands what's an audit. So can you explain what you mean when you said that?
Yeah. So to me, auditing is just an acknowledgement of what you're feeling, what's going through your brain. It's recognizing, pointing out, highlighting.
Yeah, it's not only for accountants.
Trying to determine what a common denominator is.
Yes.
Because if you wake up every single morning and you're like, oh, I'm a piece of shit. Oh, I'm a piece of shit. Well, okay, you just, in an audit, you're like, what am I saying to myself every morning? Well, I've noticed I said I'm a piece of shit every single morning. That's the audit. That's acknowledging and highlighting something that is going on in your life.
Yeah.
So, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. What was I saying before?
We were equating onto how important the mindset is and where it's going and what, like you were talking about how your real estate company.
Yes. Thank you. So I didn't know at the time when I started doing this and practicing this, because 333 is in our recording right now.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
I love it. So, when I started my staging company, I had to position negative things into a positive so it would be better received by the client. Because if I went into a client appointment and I was just like, your curtains are shit, your furniture is shit, your carpet is shit, this is shit, you're stupid, do you think they're going to hire me and want to work with me? No one wants to be told all these crappy things about their house. So I had to learn how to position negative things in a positive way. So I would walk in, and I remember I had this client that was there with the real estate agent because I wasn't licensed at the time. And I went through and we were sitting down on the couch and I'm going through all these things that needs to be changed. And he's like, I have a question. And he was very like macho and kind of trying to challenge me. And he's like, I want you to tell me I need to change something in my house without me knowing I need to change something in my house. And then the real estate agent started laughing. And the guy was like, what are you laughing at? And she's like, she literally gave you 50 things and you didn't even pick up on it. And he's like, whoa, you just Jedi mind tricked me.
Yes,
It was
absolutely.
so funny. But I didn't know at the time when I was starting my business that this would correlate and translate into all avenues of life.
Oh, absolutely.
What you're feeding yourself is
I,
so important.
I want to stay in the high achievers mindset world because this is really important. It's a lot of people wonder how can you, how does having a positive mindset or even a spiritual mindset, can that be translated into a high performer's world? And yes, it can. Can it be transferred into corporate? 100%. And I love that you use the word audit because a lot of people who are high performers understand the word audit. And they don't understand the word galactic, okay? It doesn't make any sense to them. So you've already lost them. And I find it's, I've recently been asked to, if I could put together something for a corporate company for their leadership team. And I've had to really like sit with it. One thing that became really clear to me is I would lose everybody in the room depending on what my vocabulary was. So I wanted to creatively come up with expressions and terms that they understand so they can resonate with it. Now, what you were talking about is really important because you said the negativity. You didn't say the negativity isn't there. You said it is there. So what you chose to do is use it. My understanding, well, you're utilizing it. You're like, let's use it to our favor, right? So my understanding of that is, and a lot of people can understand, friction, right? And friction creates, we all know that. It could create this way or it could create that way. We're always dealing with something as an offset of friction is how it works. So if we think of a ferryman, right, in India, they call it a mahal or a kahar, okay? And you know those guys that sit there and you're on your romantic setting on your boat, whatever, but they're sitting there like this. And to us, it looks like effortless flow, okay? But those guys are highly trained because in the waters that they're adept to is the joining of the sea and then riverways and pathways. They're actually dealing with 3 or 4 opposing currents underneath the surface of the water that we don't know about, that they're constantly adjusting their hands and their positioning to make it seem like a peaceful boat ride. So what they've learned to do is keep the front of the boat going in the right direction, and that's their focus. No matter what kind of offsetting current there is, no matter what kind of friction is coming at them, they keep their forward motion because that's their job. And they understand that as long as they keep their focus on forward motion, all the friction that comes around for them in each offsetting current is only going to build that forward momentum because they choose to utilize the friction in the way that they would like to. They realize that if they take their eyes off of forward friction, off of that forward motion, that opposing friction, the opposing currents are going to push that boat, and it will not be such a peaceful romantic ride anymore. So they realize how important it is to keep forward momentum during the chaos, during the friction, okay? And now we're viewing the friction, we're viewing the negativity, we're viewing the chaos from a different perspective. Now we're saying, how do I utilize the negativity? How do I utilize the friction? And how do I adjust my hands in such a way to keep myself in forward momentum? I feel like you wanted to say something?
No. I completely agree. And it really is, I think as individuals, we need to understand that this path is our own individual path, and we're not here to copy how other people do things. The current underneath that we don't see is different for all of us. So you and I can be on our own boats in the same water, but your current is different than the current that I have. And we're all going through different things at different times based on many factors.
So you just had me think of something that I thought of earlier. I wanted to mention it. So here, what I think, this whole idea of everyone wanting to be right, what happened in our history, in our past. Because like we're so obsessed with that, right? And it's fine. It's okay to learn more information and see how you feel in your stomach when you hear it. Although I think what's going on here is it's really so misconstrued. We've all heard this expression before. You put 1,000 people in a lineup. You walk up to the first person and you tell them a secret in the ear. Now each person has to tell that secret to the next person beside them. And we all know that when it gets to the 1,000th person, if we were to say, okay, tell us what the first person said, it would not be the same.
Exactly.
So we don't even know. So like, it's all our own opinion. So again, it is your own opinion. So we just want to cling and jump on this because it's like, it felt good today, but it might not feel good tomorrow. And then we cling to another thing. And so have your own opinion, have your own say in what you feel is right for you today. And then
allow other people to have their own.
Yes, absolutely. Because none of us know.
Exactly.
I mean, bless those people who have said they've done, they went to pyramids for 40 years and studied the walls and they've read this ancient book and that ancient book. And again, bless their hearts. I love them. They have a lot of evidential stuff where they're saying this is who we are because I read this many books from our history. Again, you don't know. You don't know exactly, like you can't convictly say that you know exactly that is only what we are. So again, we're all speculating based on something that was written from the past. But go ahead.
I was gonna say, one thing I've always rooted in my life is the mantra that anything is possible. Anything. And the example you gave of the guy or person who studied 40 years of the pyramids and blah blah blah, and they feel like they know absolutely everything, that I understand that's what you feel like you believe, but also to look at what happened last year. They've discovered there's like 200,000 feet of pillars underneath the pyramid and no one knew that. So hello, no matter how much we learn or we think we're learning and we're trying to grow and experience, I do not believe in this world, planet, whatever you want to call this. There is one absolute truth. I believe there are multiple truths. And it does blow some people's minds. And, if I say that and you're not resonating with it, cool. You're just not ready for it yet. It'll come. You can email me later.
Yeah.
But it's a really exciting world when you kind of sit in that energy that anything is possible. Someone can come to me, like, even, I'm not even going to get into it, but I watch a lot of people get into these massive fights about Earth. They're like, it's the Matrix, it's a glitching, it's flat, it's round, it's a firmament. I'm like, who cares?
It's triangle.
And exactly. Who cares? And what does it actually matter? It was flat, does it matter? No, it's not going to change shit. If it's fucking permanent, who cares? But as soon as you live in a world of anything is possible, nothing phases you, and you don't have to be so rooted in an argument.
Yeah. And you're not fazed by things that you're going to hear because you're always going to hear it. It's always going to be there. I mean, that's the joy of it. It's always, all this stuff's always going to be there. It's not like when clients work with me and they have these aha moments and they get to a place of releasing emotions. I've often had clients come back for other sessions a month later and they're like, the interesting thing, I released that. It's not like experience in my life wasn't showing up again for me to feel anger, but I looked at it differently. It didn't make me sweat. It didn't make me panic. And they're like, it's so cool, your process, because you're not like saying you're never going to experience anger again because you released it in a 1-hour session.
Exactly.
What you're doing is you're viewing it from a different perspective, because what you've taught yourself in a session is that you can release it so it doesn't own you. So now the next time it shows its face around, you're like, you're not the same face to me anymore. And then anger, that doesn't bother me anymore. It kind of gets me to thinking about what I was sharing with you earlier, and you told me that I got to share it in the podcast. So I was asked to put something together for high achievers. Can this be delivered in such a way where high achievers who are only focused on high achieving and they're not fixated on one way of living, they're not only spiritual, they actually are impactful and they want to expand their knowledge and expand their wealth and be high achievers because that's something they really want to achieve in their life. Can we find a way to help people? Well, I created something over the last few months as a result of being asked, called the RCRIA effect. So it's rewiring mindset, emotions, and behaviors. The foundation of a performance is simple. Mindset dictates emotions, which lead to specific behaviors. So if the atmosphere of friction, now what we were talking about earlier, this might help people understand. You know, we look at a dam, that is electrical dam. All they're doing is taking that big vast body of water and narrowing it down into a tiny hole, which creates friction. So we know that friction creates. Same thing in our lives, friction creates, right? So now the atmosphere at an electrical dam would be the dam, how it's put together, what the engineers decided to do with the dam to get the friction to create. Okay, so what's the atmosphere like in your life, right? So atmosphere of friction, if the atmosphere of friction is high, your mindset becomes reactive, leading to draining emotions, stress, overwhelm, resulting in sabotaging behaviors, procrastination, and burnout. Okay, so the RCRIA alignment system interrupts this negative loop and installs a positive one. Okay, let's just go with what it represents. So R stands for remember. By naming the atmosphere, by naming something, right? Like you said that you learned in your staging company this thing, this negative thing, this negative. If you hadn't ever named it, okay, you wouldn't believe that you had a say in it. But simply because you said, I see you now. You've pointed it out. It's like the annoying kid in class that the teacher could never figure out who it is. But once the teacher knows who the annoying kid in class is, which probably me a couple times when I was younger, but I knew that once she knew it was me, my gig was up.
Yeah.
Right? So when we name things, by naming the atmosphere of friction and setting a boundary statement, right? So your boundary statement was, I am now going to rephrase this. I'm going to flip it. Okay? That's the boundary statement that you created. You shift your mindset from victim, reactive, to agent. Okay? Proactive. Now, a lot of high achievers know the word agent. Okay?
Yeah.
An agent of success. This is literature that helps people become more comfortable with these concepts, because this is what we're after. I am a strong component of anyone can do this, and we don't need to attach it to a doctrine or a dogma. We don't have to go there. Sorry,
I needed a little intermission.
Hi, Neil.
He was barking to get up on the couch.
Okay, so we've talked about R. Now, what does C stand for? C stands for clear. Change emotions. Okay, so the emotional release process, which I created a long time ago called ERP, deletes the charge. Okay, now you're in your staging company and it's the first thing in the morning and you're noticing day after day, you're like, man, I just got to find a way out of this because it's just making me uncomfortable, all these negative things. Now, we have to first notice the charge. You feel it, you charge, right? A high achiever dealing with an unwanted email at the last minute, man, they're like, a client not showing up on time. Well, I got all these things to do. I got a call coming. You know, we know what the charge is, okay? So deletes the charged emotional data left by the friction, okay? So now we're already understanding that there is a residual effect that we feel when we're negatively charged.
Yes.
Although if we don't do anything with that, we're zapping somebody. It's going to come out in an unwanted way, and we're going to be like, oh, that was kind of rude to that person, right? So this clears the clutter, allowing for calm, insightful, profound clarity to replace anxiety with excitement. Okay, now we can do this. This is all available to us. So now we talk about the next R. We have RCR. The next one is release. This changes our behaviors. Okay, so if we think of mindset, emotions, behaviors. I am a strong component of there's plenty of mindsets out there.
Yeah.
Actually, we probably couldn't even write them all down. So we know that there are many mindsets. We could dissect that and bring it all back to a mindset. Now, a certain mindset will elicit a certain amount of emotions, which brings out the behavior in someone. So I also believe that if we reverse things, we could expose the source of things. So if we look at a behavior, I don't think that behavior is fixed, because we could train a wild horse. We look at the wild horse's behavior, but in 30 days, it's calm. So we reverse the behavior. So the behavior is the thing that's being presented to us. But I don't believe that is what started the behavior in the first place. So if we rewind the behavior, we could find its source. So if you're dealing with someone who has a constant negative behavior with you, you could rewind it wondering what the emotions are that fueled that behavior. And then that will reveal the mindset the person had, and you'll actually have an aha moment. You're like, oh my God, seriously? And I know we've all had these conversations with our friends and joked them off over eating pizza. But we don't really hold on to that stuff, because that's when the delicious stuff comes to us.
Exactly.
Right? So we're sitting there, by releasing the emotional commitment, subconscious payoff to old patterns, you dismantle the structural need for the negative behavior, making room for the new intentional behavior. Okay? Again,
yes.
This is, do you want this? Like, you're the one who has to be vigilant in these things. Now,
we have to make room for it, for sure. You can't bring on a new habit without releasing something else.
and you gotta be aware now, right? Because you've created this void, and you're starting to say, well, I've gone from someone who didn't know it was there to knows it's there. So what, Kurt? Well, now you're not acknowledging that you know it's there now. Like, you're a totally different person coming at this, because this thing that was operating you, that you weren't aware of, it was operating unconsciously. Now you're aware that it's operating you. Now you have a different view at it, and you're going to come at it differently. So if we get to I, so we had R, C, R, and now we're at I, which is integrate. Okay, this is the fun part, right? So sustains mindset and behavior. Integration. Okay? This is when we put the book down and start implementing these things into our life. Okay? Because it's
practicing until it becomes second nature.
Experimenting. Like, if we don't make it such a struggle, why don't you just call it experiment? Oh, I'll experiment with this. So the flow state anchor, and you've mentioned the word anchor a few times. The flow state anchor. Okay? This is when we know what an anchor is. We anchor our boat. It ain't going anywhere. So, and if you think, do I have a say? So if you're telling me I anchor, if I beforehand anchor my boundary with myself, which creates boundaries in my life, wait a minute, I'll have a different outcome? Well, of course. So the flow state anchor energetically looks the new behaviors and calm emotions into your system. Okay. So it's like, now I'll correct myself there. The flow state anchor energetically locks. It's always there. So you're going to start thinking about it from a different perspective. So it energetically locks the new behaviors and calm emotions into your system, ensuring your positive mindset remains consistent against external pressure. Okay, so when that trigger shows its face, it's here, you're like, well, Kurt, all the same people are here. That person I don't like in my company that's always so loud around me and just gets under my skin. They're here. I thought the anchor would help me. Now the anchor's there. You've convinced yourself that it's an anchor. Okay, I have to have a different result now. You're gonna see it, and you won't be able to unsee it. It'll happen, so y'all probably get goosebumps. You'll be like, uh-oh, he's right.
Yeah.
What's going on? And then now we get to assimilate. Okay? we've all watched these videos of wild animals approaching a house.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden we see the progression of a wild animal becoming more and more comfortable with humans. What's happening to the wild animal? They're assimilating to their new environment, and they're realizing it's not so terrible and dangerous, and they're starting to feel safe. They were a wild animal. You're a wild animal. We are all wild animals, and we have to give ourselves the patience to assimilate to our new affirmed environment.
Exactly.
So if we're going with this system, the system of the RCRIA, and we're actually going to have courage to implement it in our lives, we have to realize is that we're taking a wild animal, which is us, and showing it that we can be in an environment that once made us feel scared and triggered, and assimilate to this environment. So
100%.
now, so the assimilation, I just want to go ahead if you go ahead.
You're talking about assimilation as the next step, because I still want to talk about integration for a minute.
Yes.
Okay, so I really want to highlight how important integration is. I know a lot of people who are trying to do some work, but they're skipping the integration part, and they're not allowing themselves the grace to work through it.
Yeah, you can't force it.
You can't. And I'm going to share a little bit of a personal story on the integration half. Like, everyone on my podcast knows that I went through a divorce recently. 20 years. I was with this person 24/7, 365 for 20 years. My entire body, soul, mind, every fiber of my being was regulated to be with a second person. The moment I am out of this relationship, I meet someone and I'm like, I am not dating anyone because I know I'm not ready. I'm going to work on myself like a good girl, la la la. But this person was so amazing that, 6, 7, 8 months, whatever that timeline was, I don't remember. We ended up started dating.
Yep.
And it felt so natural. It felt like, oh, this is great. But what I'm realizing today, because we did break up, but what I'm realizing today is my cells and my body was using that familiarity, and I wasn't integrating the new me. It was uncomfortable to be alone. It's uncomfortable to sit in my house with no one to talk to. It's uncomfortable not to walk up to someone and get a kiss or a hug or whatever. I have to learn how to be with myself first before I can give myself to a partner in a healthy way.
So you know what you just acknowledged there? You pointed out and labeled your atmosphere of friction.
Yes. Yeah.
Which kept you locked in a loop. Okay?
Correct.
But now you've named it.
Yeah.
So now you have a Kristy's boundary statement.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you use that as your comfort, and you're like, no, I'm going to anchor this new part of myself in.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really want to get to know that part of myself. Right?
100%. And it's not easy or comfortable, guys.
Well, one thing that
integration is a hard thing.
Well, I think what you just did there, for anybody else going through something similar that you went through, you gave them something to look out for.
Mm-hmm.
If they all of a sudden are with someone and then all of a sudden alone. Mm-hmm. Okay? You gave them something to be vigilant and look for when those things happen. So I applaud you for doing that, because it will help someone out going through the similar thing, because people do go through these things often. And you're giving yourself the opportunity now to sit.
Yeah, I really am. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. It's not I used to think like, oh yeah, this is gonna be so easy. That was ego really talking. But when I give myself the grace and the moments to actually sit with it, do I cry a lot? Yeah. But that's also my body releasing things that I do not need to hold on to. And coming from a life where I used to be this hardened boss babe that would never cry, I'm like, who is this woman? I don't even know. But who I am today is a completely different human woman than I was a month ago. Right?
Yes.
So it is very important for us to use this integration process to, I won't say better our lives, but I'll just say learn things that will help us in our journey. Because is it easy for me to go back to someone who I see as an amazing human and be like, okay, let's just continue on, and I'm just going to ignore this side, and I'm just keeping repeating these cycles, and I'm comfortable because I have a partner I can talk to, I have someone who we align on a lot of things, blah blah blah. It's so comfortable to allow myself to be in that energy, and it's so uncomfortable to sit at home alone and unpack why I'm feeling a certain way, unpack how it's affecting or triggering me. And these are things that I feel like we all should be excited to go through and not afraid of, because whatever I am learning through this moment of being alone and not having the ability to, hey, I need a hug right now. I can't walk up to a stranger and say that, and there's no one living with me to that I
Yeah.
can ask, right? I
Yeah.
have to learn how to take care of myself first. So what
Yeah.
can I do that can help me soothe that feeling? Because as soon as we start learning how we can take care of ourselves, it's a lot easier for us to be able to communicate with that next partner in a healthy way. So you have a healthy relationship dynamic
Yeah.
versus two wounded people repeating cycles and not able to actually fully communicate or be within themselves or in a new creation of what's happening. So
Yeah, I do.
that was my
I love that you said that, because what are we unfolding here? If
I
we were
just
to if we were to actually, this is real time evidence for me, with something that I I hold really dear to me, is when I put something together when I want to work with somebody, I take this really fucking seriously. Like, I'm coming at you with all my game when I work with people. And
true story, because I've worked with you.
it's it is my responsibility as a practitioner to have you walk away with something tangible after we're
Yeah.
together. I feel like I haven't done you any justice when we can't get there, which means I'm coming at you. Like, it's what I do. So if we think about the first one is remember. What did you do? You remembered. You let yourself sit in your remembrance. Because are you immediately remembering something that's already in there? Maybe not. But because you've chosen to sit, you're now remembering who you really are.
Yeah.
That is such a fascinating thing. And then we get to clear. What's Kristy doing? She's clearing. Okay, like, this is
Releasing.
amazing. And then we go to release. You just went, whoo! That's what you do, right? And then we went to integrate. What you're in the integration phase, and you're willing to do it, which is so amazing. And then we get into this makes the loop automatic. We have an unconscious offset in our life. Things happen unconsciously. Now, can we make that automatic? Yes.
Completely.
And this system helps you see it. You practice something enough, it becomes automatic. So we get assimilate, makes the loop automatic. Now this stuff happens unconsciously in your life. You don't even need to pay attention to it anymore. So the new state becomes your effortless default. The atmosphere of ease is automatically emitted, meaning your positive mindset, emotions, behaviors are now a resilient high performance loop. It's such a fascinating thing. So in essence, RCRIA strategically changes the mindset. R, remember, cleans the emotional system. C, rewires the behavior. R, locks in the new positive loop, okay, which is integrate and assimilate. It's a fascinating thing. I sit here in awe looking at these things, because here we are realizing how beneficial it could be for somebody. And we've unfolded helping people understand the philosophy behind it, because I use this chart with people when I talk about emotions. And there's only one
for those watching, not just listening to the audio, he's got a chakra chart behind him.
One reason why I use that. That's it. And it's all for what we just came up with, clarity. Because if you don't know what I'm talking about,
yes,
we got to stay there until you do. And
100%.
I want to get to the good stuff in a session. So I use that because it's all colorful. And if I say I'm working on the red part, you're like, well, that's easy to understand, Kurt. That's the only reason why I use that chart, because it shows you where we're working. And now, since you understand me, and I understand that you understand, we can move on to the next phase. So the philosophy behind something that someone's bringing forward, if the person that you're working with doesn't understand what you're talking about, we can't get to part one. We can't. It doesn't work. So I like to bring as much clarity forward, so when we work, that stuff's taken care of, and you're just an eager beaver ready to go here, and I find that I love that we did this. Thank you for that, because
me too.
It really helps me understand the direction I want to take when I present this to the leadership team. So it's pretty cool. Thank you for that.
No, I'm so excited for you, and I'm insanely excited that you've created yet another amazing program that's going to help transform a lot of people's lives. We became friends early on in your, I won't say early on in your journey, but early on in your business, where you still were a traditional carpenter doing this on the side and building your client base and everything. And I've seen your growth over the years and how much you've expanded into the person you are showing up today, and how many people you've actually helped transform. Even myself, like, you and I have had such amazing conversations throughout the years that you've really added to my journey. And I love that you're able to articulate and turn this process into something that a lot of people who may not even be interested in going as deep as you and I are, but a lot of them will still be able to use this concept and internalize it in any way to make their own lives better. So that is truly amazing. So kudos to you, and I'm honored that you're my friend.
I love helping when I have a skeptic come in for a session. What good would I be when I can't even help them see more of themselves? Then none of this works for me. So I always ask, help me find a place that helps them understand this. I had a gentleman, his wife suggested that he see me. His mother-in-law paid for the session. So this poor guy was booted into an energy healing session that he had no idea what energy healing was. A really extreme sports kind of guy. And I grew up around friends who were into motocross. And they allowed me to join them sometimes on their motocross days. And so I kind of got familiar with the lingo. And although I never bought my own, but I got to use some of these machines, and they call it ripping, and gunning it and just flying off a tabletop and stuff. So I joked around with his mother-in-law saying I was going to take my hat off and strip naked and put something around my waist when he comes in, just so he thinks he's coming to see some really freaky dude. And she thought that was amazing. And she's like, he's going to love you. And so when he came in, it was not what he expected, obviously. And I found out that he had a love for motocross. And one thing that I discovered that this process can help people do is release physical pain. And he really wasn't fixated on the emotions, although once we started diving into the chart, he was blown away that he didn't realize that he could feel the emotion that way, and he didn't realize that it was impeding him in some way. So we released around 8 emotions, and we reserved some time at the end to release some pain, where he identified he had pain, and he had pain from his wrist. Now you could, obviously that makes sense. People who ride their whole life, they might have pain in their wrist from all the landing. And he said, man, if you can help me with that, he's like, holy shit. And I was like, is that all you want? Like, just physical pain? So, I mean, this, honestly, like this is what I've learned is an offset of these things. This is like a byproduct. So he stored all this scarcity around not being able to drive again, and it just stayed there. And this is a constant reminder of it. And this is what we do. Yeah. So we got into this releasing, and it was fascinating. 2 months later, he brought his wife in to see me, and he came into the clinic and he gave me a big hug with a smile. And he's like, my wrist is still amazing. So I've taken that guy from a mindset of this stuff is just ridiculous. Woo.
Mumbo jumbo. Woo. Yeah.
to now, and we're not claiming that this is the only path to releasing physical pain. I'm just telling you that this works and it can release physical pain. So if you're anybody who's listening, who questions any of these things, but is dealing with physical pain, what are you waiting for? Like, why, if the pills wear out and one day you need an upgrade in pills and it's just affecting your sleep and your mood and everything, maybe you want to try a different route. And this guy went from being a huge skeptic to bringing his wife in for a session with me.
Exactly.
Like, that's pretty amazing to witness. And one thing that I want to say, confidence. If we think how do I get confidence? I lack confidence. Well, is it that you lack confidence? Is that really what it is? And you say, well, yeah, of course I lack confidence. So well, how confident are you that you lack confidence? So it's not that you lack confidence. That's not the culprit. And what I've learned with working with emotions is it's kind of redefining how we see our emotions. Because it's helping me see that there is something else. It's like behind the veil. It's behind those curtains. There is actually another way available for us that we're not letting ourselves see. Because it's not that you lack confidence. So then what is it? You may not be going for it. You may not be believing that you can do it. You have all the confidence to do it. Trust me, you do. It's that for me, early on, it was I wasn't going to let myself go down this road because I wouldn't be accepted in my family or my friend circle, because I wouldn't be able to say the same things to them in conversations about what I do with my life. But I had to confidently do it and get out of my skin, and then I realized that it wasn't as bad as I thought. It wasn't as received about. It's not that I'm saying that they understand fully what I do. I'm not telling you that. They don't.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't require that to be who I am. And so if anybody's listening, you don't require everyone to understand you.
Exactly.
Just be you. And the rest falls into place, and you got to keep reminding yourself that every day.
I love that. Absolutely love that. I think this is a great place to end our episode today. Is there anything you want to add at the end? I know we talked about a lot of amazing things.
So how do you build enthusiasm, right? Like, get enthusiastic. Like, what is that thing that gets you out of your head and like starts that creative endeavor that you're thinking about, right? So again, what's the atmosphere that surrounds that endeavor? If it's something that happened with me a long time ago in my life that spontaneously happened, and I understand why it did. I became a member at a gym, and I was at the gym for years. Everyone talked to me. Everyone loved me. I would talk to young, old. I didn't care. You had a face, I was talking to you. That's how I am. The owner of the gym was currently interviewing personal trainers. Of course, they had to have their certificate. And so long and short of it is, this owner actually approached me, and she said, we've been having trouble trying to find a suitable personal trainer to work here. We just don't feel they're a good fit for this gym. My husband and I was thinking Kurt would be amazing for this gym. he already knows everybody and he loves talking to everybody and everyone has such good feedback about him, but you're only a member. So we want to offer you a job. We'll pay for your certificate. We'll wipe your membership and you can start tomorrow. How do you feel? And it was like, huh? Whoa, okay. Kind of neat. I had no idea why that worked. But again, it was the atmosphere I put myself in. And if someone is curious, there's something I want to try in my life, like Kristy said earlier, test drive it.
Yes.
We test drive a vehicle. We don't go, I saw a vehicle online, I bought it right away. You want to get to, you want to test drive the vehicle. So test drive your life. Let yourself play with it. Think of all the things that surround the thing you want to do. What does it take to be a good personal trainer? Well, I had most of them covered already. That's why they chose me, right? So test drive something in your life, play around with it. That builds the enthusiasm to be it. And now you start to get the image in your mind. Wow, maybe I could do this,
I love that. Bingo. Oh my goodness. Okay. So it's funny because I'm going to add, this is mainly for us, but, we were supposed to record this a week ago.
Yes.
But something happened and we weren't able to. And it wasn't until I shared my story through the integration section that I realized why. So going with the flow and allowing things to happen as they're supposed to go, great. If we forced the recording last week somehow, this would not have been the same type of content being out there. And I wouldn't have shared the integration and awareness that I have, which I've only acquired literally today, I will say.
Yeah, and we would have viewed it last week as a loss, not a gain.
Exactly.
Right? And you would have said, oh, well, another thing that doesn't work out. No.
Yeah.
Maybe it's exactly where you got to be at that point.
I hope people are inspired to release the judgments that they give and put on themselves for how things are supposed to go or how things are supposed to unfold. We don't need it. Release it. And just allow the process to unfold how it's supposed to, because if something is not happening or aligning at that moment, it's because it's not supposed to yet. There's a couple things that need to be unpacked, and we need to embrace and acknowledge and accept that. And that's where a lot of beauty in our lives and transformation comes from. So
the only way Christopher Columbus knew that there was land coming is because he saw sticks and birds. That's what kept his sanity. When everybody else said, it's never going to happen, man.
Yeah.
He said, oh, yeah. So what's your sticks and birds?
Exactly. I love that. Well, Kurt, thank you so much for being with me today. I appreciate it. We will definitely have you on again because our flow is always awesome. And we're going to trust the process. And the next time we're called to it, we'll line it up and make it happen.
Yeah. Love it.
So hopefully, everyone, you enjoyed this episode. If you liked it, please like, comment, share, send us an email, ask us a question. If there's content you're hoping to hear from, let us know, because we want to be able to deliver content that is important to you, and things that will help you grow and level up on this next chapter of life that we're headed into for all of us. So it's a super exciting time. Thanks again for joining us on the Conscious Journey. And until next time, we'll see you then.
Bye, guys.